Ladies and gentlemen, tell me something. What if I told you that somewhere, in a room you'll never see, behind doors you'll never open, a circle of billionaires just made a decision about you? Oh yes, you. Not your country, not your city, you. Isn't that funny? Wake up. You scroll, you work, you dream, thinking you're free, thinking you're in control. But what if the game was designed long before you ever learned the rules? What if the real power move wasn't what they decided, but whether you ever realize it? You see, the world isn't run by chaos. It's run by choices. And the most dangerous choice is the one made while you're distracted. So tonight, we're not just talking about billionaires. We're talking about awareness, power, control, and whether you're a pawn or the player who flips the board. Now tell me, are you ready to find out what they decided about you? Because once you know, you can't unknow it. You ever notice how the most powerful moves in the world are never announced? No fireworks, no headlines, no dramatic music playing in the background, just silence. Real power doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need applause. It operates in rooms you'll never enter, in conversations you'll never hear, in decisions that never trend on your feed. And that's the joke. Because while you're watching the loudest voices on your screen, the real architects are whispering. While you're arguing about distractions, someone else is adjusting the board. Quietly, precisely, permanently. Power moves in silence. Think about it. When a billionaire makes a move, do they post it with a caption? Do they ask for likes? No. They shift markets with a phone call. They redirect industries with a signature. They alter futures with a meeting that never makes the news. Silence is strategy. Noise is for the audience. Silence is for the rulers. You've been trained to associate power with visibility. The loudest person in the room must be the leader, right? The one trending must be the most influential. The one with the biggest spotlight must be the one in control. Wrong. The spotlight blinds you. The noise distracts you. The chaos entertains you. And while you're entertained, someone else is calculating. The most dangerous decision is the one you don't even know was made. The job market shifts. The cost of living rises. The algorithms change. Opportunities disappear. New rules appear. No announcement. No warning, just a subtle shift. And suddenly, your path feels harder. But you think it's coincidence. That's adorable. Silence creates invisibility. Invisibility creates immunity. If no one sees the move, no one questions the move. If no one questions it, it becomes reality. And reality, my friend, is just a series of accepted decisions. Power doesn't need validation. It needs positioning. The real players don't react emotionally. They don't chase trends. They don't panic publicly. They observe. They calculate. They wait. Then they move once. And that single move echoes for years. You, on the other hand, have been conditioned to move constantly, react to every notification, respond to every outrage, chase every update. You're in a state of permanent reaction. And when you're reacting, you're not directing. Silence gives clarity. It allows strategy to form without interference. It allows patience to sharpen instinct. It allows control to grow roots before anyone notices the tree. The billionaire circle doesn't rush. They understand something most people don't. Time is leverage. While the public demands immediate results, real power plays the long game. They invest in decades, not days. They build systems, not moments. They design frameworks that will outlive the noise. And they do it quietly. Because announcing your move invites resistance. Executing it silently ensures momentum. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you made a powerful move in silence? When was the last time you improved without broadcasting it? When was the last time you built a skill, a network, a strategy without seeking recognition? Or have you been performing instead of positioning? The world celebrates visibility, but wealth respects invisibility. The world praises expression, but power respects restraint. Silence isn't weakness. It's discipline. It's knowing that not every thought deserves to be spoken. Not every plan deserves to be shared. Not every ambition deserves to be exposed before it's fortified. Because once you reveal your move too early, you invite interference. But when you move in silence, you create shock. And shock creates advantage. The secret isn't just that powerful people move quietly. The real secret is that you can too. You're still trying to protect the old you. That's the problem. You keep defending a version of yourself that was built out of fear, comfort, hesitation, and small decisions. You treat him like he deserves loyalty, like he deserves sympathy. But if you want to become who you must be, that version of you has to go. Not gently, not politely destroyed. Transformation isn't soft. It isn't poetic. It isn't a smooth transition from who you were to who you want to be. It's violent, internal. It's tearing down beliefs you've carried for years. It's questioning habits that feel like home. It's letting parts of your identity burn, because the old you is comfortable, predictable, safe. He knows how to survive. But survival isn't greatness. You can't carry old excuses into a new future. You can't hold on to old fears and expect new strength. You can't keep the same mindset and demand different results. Something has to break, and it has to be you. The old you says, "This is just how I am." The new you says, "Watch me change." The old you avoids discomfort. The new you hunts it. The old you seeks approval. The new you seeks growth. They cannot coexist peacefully. Becoming who you must be requires betrayal. You must betray your laziness. Betray your procrastination. Betray the narratives you've repeated about your limits. You must betray the identity that kept you small. And betrayal feels wrong at first. It feels unnatural to say no when you used to say yes. It feels uncomfortable to wake up early when you used to sleep in. It feels awkward to speak boldly when you used to stay quiet. But that discomfort is proof of demolition. You are tearing down an old structure. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. It doesn't care who you used to be. It responds to who you show up as consistently. So if the old you is inconsistent, distracted, hesitant, then that version cannot lead you forward. He had his chance. Destroying who you were doesn't mean hating yourself. It means refusing to remain limited by outdated patterns. It means recognizing that the person who got you here may not be strong enough to get you there. Growth demands sacrifice. And sometimes the sacrifice is familiarity. The sacrifice is relationships that no longer align. The sacrifice is routines that feel comfortable. The sacrifice is the identity people expect from you. People will notice the shift. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. You have to change. You have to become unrecognizable to the person who once doubted your own capability. Because evolution isn't cosmetic, it's structural. You don't upgrade your life by adding motivation on top of old habits. You upgrade your life by replacing the foundation, by questioning every excuse, by confronting every weakness, by eliminating every pattern that drags you backward. There will be moments when you miss the old you, the easier life, the predictable routine, the absence of pressure. But pressure creates diamonds, fire forges steel. Chaos refines clarity. The person you must become is already inside you, sharper, stronger, more disciplined, more fearless. But he's buried under layers of comfort and doubt and outdated beliefs. So dig. Strip away the lies. Burn the excuses. Crush the hesitation. Let the old identity collapse under the weight of your ambition. Let the fragile version of you fade. Let the timid voice lose its power. Because the future you're chasing doesn't belong to who you were. It belongs to who you decide to become. Such a heavy word for something so invisible. Everyone thinks they know who's in charge. the loudest politician, the richest celebrity, the face on the magazine cover, the trending name on your screen. You think the game is controlled by the most visible players. That's cute. In every magic trick, the magician tells you exactly where to look. He waves one hand dramatically, while the other does the real work. The audience swears they're paying attention. They'd bet their pride on it, and they still miss the move. Who really controls the game? Is it the person speaking, or the one writing the script? Is it the CEO, or the board behind the CEO? Is it the influencer, or the algorithm deciding who gets seen? Power doesn't always sit on the throne. Sometimes it builds the throne. You're taught to chase titles: president, founder, director, billionaire. You're told these are the ultimate positions, the top of the pyramid, the final boss level. But pyramids are structures, and structures are designed. Someone decides the shape, someone decides the rules, someone decides what success even looks like. If you define the rules of the game, you don't need to play it loudly. You just sit back and watch everyone compete inside your framework. That's control. You fight for promotions. You compete for grades. You grind for followers. You compare salaries. You measure status. All inside a scoreboard someone else created. And you rarely question who built the scoreboard. Control isn't about domination. It's about influence. The ability to shape outcomes without appearing to force them. The power to predict behavior because you understand the environment better than the players inside it. Think about it. If I control the information you see, I influence what you believe. If I influence what you believe, I shape how you act. If I shape how you act, I indirectly shape your future. No chains, no threats, just direction. And the most effective control feels like choice. You choose the news source. You choose the platform. You choose the product. You choose the career path. But what influenced those choices? Visibility, exposure, repetition. The more you see something, the more normal it feels. The more normal it feels, the more acceptable it becomes. The more acceptable it becomes, the less you question it. That's not an accident. That's architecture. The real controllers don't micromanage individuals. They design systems. Systems that reward certain behaviors. Systems that punish others. Systems that guide ambition into predictable lanes. You want wealth. Here's the approved path. You want fame. Here's the platform. You want validation? Here's the scoreboard. Stay inside the lines and you'll be praised. Step outside and you'll be labeled difficult, unrealistic, unstable. Control through incentives. Control through fear of exclusion. Control through dependency. And dependency is the sweetest form of power. Because when people rely on the system for survival, status, or identity, they defend it fiercely. They protect their cage because it feeds them. So who really controls the game? The ones who understand psychology, the ones who own infrastructure, the ones who build platforms, the ones who finance narratives, not necessarily the ones on stage. The stage is just theater. The audience argues about actors, while the producers count the profits backstage. And here's the twist. Control doesn't mean perfection. Even the most powerful systems adapt. They adjust. They recalibrate when people start waking up. That's why trends shift. Platforms update. Narratives change, not randomly, strategically. Because staying in control means staying flexible. The real game isn't about who looks powerful. It's about who shapes the environment. Because when you shape the environment, you shape the outcomes. And when you shape the outcomes long enough, people start calling it reality. The sweetest weapon ever created. Not a bomb, not a law, not a threat. A notification, buzz, flash, ping. Look over here. Every empire in history understood one simple truth. A focused mind is dangerous. A distracted mind is manageable. So what's the modern strategy? Don't suppress people. Entertain them. Keep them scrolling. Keep them reacting. Keep them emotionally invested in things that change every 24 hours. Give them outrage in the morning, drama at noon, controversy at night, and call it engagement. You think distraction is harmless. Just a break. Just relaxation. Just 5 minutes. But 5 minutes turns into 50. 50 turns into 5 years. And suddenly you've spent a decade consuming instead of creating. Distraction is the real currency. Not money. Attention. Your attention is being traded, sold, optimized, studied. Billion-dollar industries compete for seconds of your focus. Not hours, seconds, because seconds compound. The longer you stare, the more you buy. The more you buy, the more you validate the system. The more you validate the system, the stronger it becomes. And the cruelest part, you think you're choosing to be distracted. You open the app. You click the video. You read the comments. You argue with strangers. You follow the drama. Choice, right, or conditioning? Bright colors, infinite scroll. Autoplay. Personalized feeds designed to remove friction. Designed to remove boredom. Designed to make silence uncomfortable. Because in silence, you think. And thinking leads to questioning. And questioning leads to awareness. We can't have too much of that, can we? So instead, you're fed stimulation. Constant. Immediate. Addictive. You're never alone with your thoughts anymore. Waiting in line. Scroll. Sitting in silence. Scroll. Feeling uncomfortable. Scroll. Feeling ambitious. Scroll until the ambition fades. Distraction doesn't just steal time, it steals depth, deep work, deep relationships, deep reflection, all replaced by surface-level reactions, quick laughs, fast anger, temporary dopamine spikes. You're emotionally exhausted, but mentally underdeveloped. You know everything about celebrities, nothing about your own potential. You can recite viral trends, but you haven't written your own vision. That's not an accident. A distracted population is predictable. Predictable people are controllable. If you know what triggers them, what entertains them, what outrages them, you can steer them without force. Just push the right button and watch them move. Distraction keeps you reactive, always responding, never initiating, always consuming, rarely building, because building requires boredom. It requires patience. It requires focus sustained over time without immediate reward. And that's uncomfortable. So distraction becomes the escape. But every escape has a cost. The cost is clarity. While you're immersed in digital noise, someone else is mastering silence. While you're debating strangers, someone else is studying markets. While you're refreshing your feed, someone else is refreshing their strategy. One group is entertained, the other is advancing. Distraction fragments your attention into pieces too small to create anything meaningful. You start projects but don't finish them. You get inspired but lose momentum. You dream big but act small. Not because you're incapable, because you're divided. Attention divided is power diluted, and diluted power never threatens the system. So the cycle continues. New trends, new scandals, new updates, new reasons to look away from your own growth. You don't need to be oppressed if you're occupied. You don't need to be silenced if you're distracted. And as long as your focus belongs to someone else, so does your future. A pawn, such a small piece, isn't it? Moves one step at a time, straight ahead, predictable, limited, sacrificial. And yet there are millions of them on the board. You were taught to move forward, study, graduate, apply, work, consume, repeat, one square at a time. Stay in line. Don't jump diagonally unless someone in authority says you can. That's how pawns survive. But survival isn't power. The fascinating thing about a pawn is not how it starts. It's what it can become. You see, the board was never designed for you to question your role. It was designed for you to accept it, show up, follow rules, play your part. Believe that the king and queen are the only pieces that matter. But here's the part they don't emphasize. A pawn that reaches the other side of the board transforms, not because it begged, Not because it complained, not because it demanded fairness, because it moved strategically, persistently, patiently, from pawn to player. That shift doesn't happen externally. It happens internally first. The moment you stop seeing yourself as a piece and start seeing the board, most people stare at the square in front of them. They obsess over the next move, the next paycheck, the next bill, the next approval. They react to what's immediately threatening them. Players study patterns. They observe how others move. They notice who protects whom. They recognize sacrifices. They understand timing. A pawn thinks, how do I survive this turn? A player thinks, how do I control the next 10 turns? That's the difference. You've been conditioned to think small because small thinking keeps you manageable. If you believe your influence is limited to your square, you'll never attempt to shift the board. But once you realize the game has structure, psychology, leverage, everything changes. You stop reacting emotionally to every move against you. You start asking why the move was made. What does it open? What does it expose? What does it distract from? Players don't just move. They anticipate, and anticipation requires awareness. Awareness requires detachment. You can't see the whole board if you're emotionally attached to every minor loss. Pawns panic when threatened. Players calculate risk. Sacrifice is part of strategy. Comfort is often the first thing you must give up. The familiar routine, the predictable income, the approval of those still comfortable being pawns. Because when you start thinking like a player, you look different. You question things. You delay gratification. You invest time in skills no one applauds yet. You build quietly, and that makes people uneasy. They'll tell you to stay realistic, to stop overthinking, to just play your role. But roles are assigned, power is claimed. Becoming a player means understanding value. Not just money, value in knowledge, value in reputation, value in positioning yourself, where opportunities converge instead of chasing them desperately. Players create options. Pawns wait for instructions. The shift also means taking responsibility. A pawn can blame the system, the rules, the other pieces, the unfair layout of the board. A player accepts the board as it is and still finds a way to win. No excuses, just adaptation. You study finance instead of fearing it. You understand influence instead of being manipulated by it. You build assets instead of liabilities. You cultivate skills that make you indispensable, and slowly, your movement changes. You're no longer limited to one square in your mind. You start thinking diagonally, laterally, strategically. The board hasn't disappeared, but you're no longer trapped by it. Because the moment you realize you were never just a pawn, you start moving like something far more dangerous. Rules. Everyone loves rules. They make the world feel stable, predictable, safe. Follow this path and you'll succeed. Do these steps and you'll win. Obey the structure and you'll be rewarded. That's what you were told. Go to school. Get good grades. Secure a stable job, work hard. Stay loyal. Climb slowly. Retire quietly. That was the script, but here's the punchline. The rules change, and they rarely send you a memo. Industries collapse. Technology replaces skills. Markets shift. Degrees lose value. Attention becomes currency. Influence becomes leverage. The ladder you were climbing suddenly leans against the wrong wall. And you're still climbing. Because no one told you the game had evolved. Rewriting the rules before they rewrite you requires one uncomfortable realization. The system is not static. It adapts faster than those who blindly trust it. If you're playing by outdated rules, you're already behind. The world rewards those who anticipate change, not those who react to it. Most people wait for proof. They wait for security. They wait for permission. They wait until the new path looks safe. By then, the advantage is gone. The early movers look crazy at first. They leave stable careers. They invest in unfamiliar skills. They adopt technologies before they're mainstream. They build audiences before it's popular. They pivot when others cling. They don't wait for the rules to collapse. They study where the cracks are forming. Rewriting the rules isn't rebellion for the sake of chaos. It's strategic evolution. It's recognizing that loyalty to a system that no longer serves you is self-sabotage. If the market values digital skills, learn them before your job demands them. If attention drives opportunity, build your presence before you feel ready. If automation threatens your role, diversify before replacement becomes reality. The majority reacts emotionally to change: fear, denial, anger, complaints. Players respond analytically. They ask, "Where is this going?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" That shift alone separates those who get rewritten from those who write. Because make no mistake, if you don't upgrade yourself, the world will downgrade you. Comfort is dangerous in a changing game. The moment you feel secure, someone else is innovating. The moment you think your position is guaranteed, a new system is being designed without you in mind. And here's the cruel irony. The rules were never permanent. They were temporary advantages for those who understood timing. Once everyone learns the formula changes. College used to guarantee opportunity. Now it's just a baseline. Hard work used to be rare. Now everyone claims it. Information used to be scarce. Now it's overwhelming. So the edge shifts. Speed matters. Adaptability matters. Creativity matters. Leverage matters. If you're still playing yesterday's strategy in today's environment, you're volunteering to lose. Rewriting the rules means thinking independently, questioning assumptions, refusing to rely on a single stream of income, refusing to depend entirely on institutions that can replace you overnight. It means building assets instead of identities tied to job titles. It means cultivating skills that transfer across industries. It means positioning yourself where growth is inevitable instead of where decline is comfortable. And it requires courage, because stepping outside established rules invites criticism. People call you risky, unrealistic, overambitious. They cling to tradition because tradition feels stable. But stability without growth becomes stagnation, and stagnation becomes irrelevance. The world doesn't pause for those who hesitate. It evolves, with or without you. So you either redesign your path intentionally, or wake up one day realizing the game changed, while you were still following instructions written for a version of reality that no longer exists.